All right, we're going to get started. It is my great pleasure to have Chad Lanners here. You know, Chad, we have so many ministry partners. You heard about Global Refuge, Lutheran World Relief. We have had, I've been doing this format now for several years where I bring in different people from throughout the community to talk about their ministry. But there's probably no ministry that's nearer and dearer to Advent than Cross.
Well, thank you.
So Cross, 50 years ago, there were several churches in this area that got together and said, we need to do something for our neighbors. And Advent was one of those churches. So we've been there since day one. I found the second meeting minutes and have handed a copy over to you. And so this has been one of our biggest partnership. We are incredibly proud of our partnership with you. How many of you have served on a board at Cross? I know we have some. Your former treasurer, and Jerry's served. Okay, how many of you have volunteered in some capacity at Cross? Okay, look around you at all those hands. How many of you have given some food to Cross at some point? How many of you have given some food to Cross this month? Yeah. We love you.
We are humbled and sincerely appreciative of everything that Advent Lutheran has done. We have been around a long time. Actually, going into next year, we'll be celebrating 50 years, and Advent was there to get us started. Many people have committed a lot of time, energy, dollars, food, multiple supplies for different programs, and so we're extremely thankful for everybody's participation and really giving families who are, navigating food insecurity and so much more, that sense of hope and opportunity as they walk through our front doors. Our goal is to treat them with dignity, and it starts with our community partners that role model that for us.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I had the opportunity to go up this summer. It was the first time. I'm now in my 10th year here at Advent, but I didn't get up to Cross until this summer. And so that's when we met, and I got to see the facility, and I was blown away by all that you offer.
Yes.
So in the beginning, it was food, right? And then it outgrew this area, it moved up to Rogers. But tell us some things you do now, because I don't know that we know the scope of all that you offer.
Fantastic, and a great question, and I'll try and do my best to paint a picture of who we are. And so Cross Services, if you don't know what Cross Services stands for, it's Christians reaching out in social services. And we've been around since 1977. We originated in a big red barn just down the street, right around the corner from here. And the rumors I have on it is one night they cleared out the animals, and the next day they had the food shelf going in there. And I'm not sure if that's the exact accurate story, but that's a quick summary of that. It also was located right next to Dean's grocery store for a while, and I understand that those steps were difficult to navigate for some people, and a capital campaign was put together. In 2003 that began, and in 2005 Cross Services moved to Rogers, and we're in a 12,000 square foot facility, and our identified service area is really the 6 cities here in the northwest suburbs. Based on some of federal and state standards, everybody has access to food across the entire state, which is different than what it originated as. But if you could envision walking into a facility, it's 12,000 square feet, and it looks like what I'm going to call a mini Costco. And we have a front desk that welcomes people in. That includes, every week we have 260 volunteers that come in and truly are the face of what we've got going on. And we have a mighty team of 10 staff that do a lot. But as you enter our facility, you'd meet people at the front desk, and then we have family advocates who actually sit down and listen to individual stories of what people's needs are. And again, we're known to be a food shelf, but in order to break a cycle of poverty, you've really got to break down different things that go along with food insecurity. And so as you navigate down our facility, we have a beautiful, unique boutique, which is a small thrift store that people can access in and shop for clothing at very minimal costs. And our whole goal is to get them feeling good, looking good, and hopefully whether you're a child or somebody looking for a job, that we have the resources to have you walk out of there feeling better every day. As you navigate down our facility, we actually have a beautiful toy room that families who come in and who live in our service area can access toys. And so if you have if you have a child who has a birthday that month, they can come in and go shopping in there, and all the toys that are donated are brand new toys. And so you think about, again, people who navigate poverty or don't have a lot of money, they may receive a lot of their toys at a garage sale or something of that. And so for these young kids to be able to get in there and be able to access a toy for a birthday really changes their lives. We also have multiple programs as the school year kicks off, and I think you're a part of it, is we put backpacks together for families in need. And I think about my oldest one is just down the street here, and he's 30 years old. But I remember his first day standing at the bus stop, and there was a young person that didn't have a backpack. And so you think about the stigmas a young kid gets just right out of the chute, from having to explain to the bus driver where your backpack is, to getting to the school, explaining to your teacher you have no backpack, and then needing to go in and speak to the social worker. And you've got to tell your story maybe at 6 or 7 years old of, we just couldn't afford, or my parents weren't able to put a backpack together. And so those are some of the components that we actually provide to help break that cycle of poverty. And the whole goal, again, is to provide healthy, culturally appropriate, and nutritious food. And so as you enter into the facility, we're set up on what we call a super shelf certification, which our aisles are filled with nutritious, culturally appropriate food, from our proteins to daily meals, accessing fruits and vegetables in that first aisle. Then as you navigate, you get the shelf-stable food, which would be a lot of the things that you'd see you guys collecting right here in the church. And then you end up with bakery and breads and cheese and milk, and then we have a bonus aisle for things that may be on the edge of expiration, or we have overstock of. And so if you're a individual walking in today, you may have received somewhere between $250 and $300 worth of groceries. Or if you're a family of 5 or 6, you can access additional food, and you may end up with $500 or $600 worth of groceries. This week we were giving out turkeys and hams as we prepare for Easter dinner, and so a family can actually host something and feel good about celebrating Jesus. And that would maybe give you a quick picture of what Cross Services looks like hands-on.
What I was, one of the many things I was impressed with was just how nice the shopping experience seemed to be. It was the kind of store I would be happy to go in.
Yeah.
And I think that is really important, that you make people feel from the time they walk in the door that you're happy to have them, and there's, and that peace, that dignity that you've lifted up. You don't want people to feel like they're less than because they have to go to Cross for food.
It's so important. So I usually roll into work at 7:30, 7:45, and our doors open up at 9 o'clock. And there's people who have begun to stand in line, whether it's raining, snowing, whatever it may be, no matter the coldness, who need to access into that facility. If I happen to be around, I actually will stand at the door and welcome them in. We're going to talk, I think, a little bit later in some of the questions, but that piece of knowing who people are and welcoming them in, if you can imagine waking up on a Monday morning and maybe not having a job, or you're in an abusive situation and no place to go and you're hungry, it's the most difficult thing in the world to jump in a car or jump on your bike or have to walk through the woods to come to the food shelf and then open that front door and say, I need help. And that's what we're there for every day, is to greet them and make them feel like a human being, and then provide them something for their bellies or their family's bellies so that they can get a good day of, whether that be a good day of school in, or be able to go to work.
Yeah, there's so many things that we can lift up. One of the things I'm grateful for as a pastor is I will sometimes get these calls from people I don't know. And, we help through the Good Samaritan Fund in a variety of ways. That's our kind of what you think of as the pastor's discretionary fund. But sometimes when I don't know somebody, I'm not sure that I'm getting the full story, or I'm not sure how best to help them. Food is one way. But I will, because we're partners, I will send them up to Cross. And you have people who may be able to sit down with them and see what other community services they might need. Do they need help getting a job? Do they need rent assistance? Tell us something about that. Yeah. So I'm referring people to you quite a bit.
I like to say we like to look at everybody as an individual and everybody as a human being, and everybody has a story. And one of the things that it's our goal to do is, if we can provide that sense of hope or vision of how to navigate that. We can't necessarily help them make different choices, but we can provide those opportunities or insights on how to navigate, or we may have the resource. We have a county employee who comes in and can help navigate SNAP or the county systems, as we would say it as a whole. We have others that come in from other nonprofits that will help navigate jobs. And then we have our own people that will work through financial assistance with them. And so if you need a car repair or a back rent on a utility bill, you still need to navigate a process, because as we have donors coming to us, it's our job to ensure that we use their dollars wisely. And so if people can show that they have a plan to navigate out of the poverty, that's where we want to step in and give them that sense of hope that, hey, we can help close that gap. And if you make these decisions, things may be a little bit better next month or the following couple months.
I have a lot of questions. I can see Sophie running around. Let me just ask a couple more. And I see you have a list, maybe things you want to cover. So if I miss something, please, What are some things that are really important for you?
Well, the toughest question was, and I've pondered on it a long time, was where you guys were going in your church service this evening. Is how is cross the salt and the light? And so I actually have had a lot of fun with it, but I ended up with 3 pages of notes on it.
Well, let's go.
And so I know we don't have the whole night here, but it's an interesting perspective, and I spent a lot of time actually asking other staff. I navigated through some of the volunteers, and I said, kind of what's the perspective? Like, where do you see cross as the salt, and where do you see cross as the light? And so, again, maybe I'll just summarize a few of those pieces, and we can go into it.
I'm excited. Go.
I think cross as a whole, we try and show up in small ways, right? And so we don't need to be this big picture, but we want to be that piece of intimacy where we get to know who people are on that personal basis, and try and be the invisible piece of that where they actually can make their choices. And so when you think about salt, it's like that you're the flavoring or you're the influencer, but all you kind of can do in that is plant some seeds and hope that they can grow from it, or you can add a little salt and they go, oh, that's pretty good, I want a little bit more, and you can keep coaching on in that scenario. And so every time we meet, and I love the word is, we try to create transformational experiences. We try and take practical tasks. So if you can just bite off one little piece and you can treat that with dignity, or you can put connections into place where I've talked about our family advocates, or hooking them up with a county employee, or a local church or a service club. That little bit of salt can make a big difference in their lives. And so I like to say we're the quiet piece, but we're extremely essential to a lot of the people that we serve. And so if you can sprinkle a little salt on them, they've got that opportunity to taste a little bit of that. And when you taste good things happening, you want more and more of that. So we don't necessarily want to be drawing attention to ourselves, but we want to help those who are struggling maybe bring out the best of them. And so that, to me, is what the salt is all about. I wrote down some things, and all kinds of people had perspectives, and I had perspectives on this, but we like to be, across the salt, we like to be the steady kindness. And that sounds real simple, but being kind all day long is hard. And so I talked about standing at the door. So if I'm there, I'm going to hand out the numbers and welcome people and see how their day's going. That can be a tough question. You go, how you doing today? Well, that's a really loaded question for somebody who's been there since 7:30. They're there for a reason. But we want to be welcoming, and you talked a little bit about it. We want to treat everybody with that dignity and a little bit sense of privacy. We need to be patient with them. I think when they come into our facility, a lot of them may be overwhelmed, and there's so much going on from, how am I going to make ends meet this month with cash, much less feed my children? And so they've got to make really, really tough decisions. And so at the end of the day, what we try and do is treat everybody just as a human being, not as a problem, as a human being. And if you sit there and hear their story, they can begin to make decisions on that. So the other thing is I think we try and work really hard in what I'll call creating gentle clarity. A food shelf sounds simple. Come in, go shopping, get your food, and leave. But people are nervous. They've never been there. They've never experienced it. They don't want to experience it. And so, again, with the 260 volunteers that we have on a weekly basis, we bring people in and welcome them and walk them through the process and bring them into the food shelf and share how the process is and how much time you have to shop and how many proteins you can have and how many fresh fruits you can have, all the way down to your milk and butter. So if they understand those processes, they begin to comprehend about, okay, all of this makes sense, and if I can shop for multiple different things, I've got the ability to have food maybe for 2 or 3 weeks. And the last thing is remembering people by their name. And so if you can call people by their name, it goes a long, long ways. And so lots of people come through. In fact, 22,000 people walk through our door in 2025. 260 volunteers come through, and husbands and wives come through, and school groups come through, and church groups. But the more names you know, it's just that it's a connection piece, and that's what we work hard on. So that's my perspective of SALT.
Well, I think it's lovely, and we've gotten to know each other. It's been about a little under a year.
Yeah.
And since that time I came up to Cross this summer, you and I have had some more conversations, especially as we've had Operation Metro Surge, and we've been trying to be responsive
We're
to how that's
meeting
been.
tomorrow again.
Yeah, we are. Just trying to figure it all out, right? And one of the things that I always take away in my conversations with you is how important it is to you that you treat people, you call them your clients.
Yeah. I
get the sense that you genuinely love the people you serve.
I roll out of bed every day with can we change one person's life?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what motivates me. I thought money did it at one time, and I learned with one of my past jobs that's not who I am. It's like, you know what, can you give them some ideas? Can you give them a sense of hope? And again, they've got to make the change, but there's nothing more than exciting to see somebody make a change, and all of a sudden they're back on the right path.
I always hang up the phone, even if we haven't solved the problems of the community, because we have had some conversations recently where it's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. But I always feel like you so genuinely care, and I hang up the phone and I think, I'm just really glad this man's up there and that you're my partner.
Thank you. I spent the last 6 hours trying to write a grant on how to bring fresh fish into a food shelf. You've never seen that in your lives, I bet. And that's something that I think that they deserve, and it's culturally appropriate, and it brings great nutrients. And so hopefully we have a shot at it.
Yeah.
Could use an extra prayer on that one, in
I
fact.
will. I'm from Seattle. I know the fishermen.
I've been there.
Yeah, that we call it the Norwegian Navy out there, because there are all these fishing boats that stay in Seattle and go up to Alaska. Yeah. Anyway, you got me excited thinking about fish. I know we have lots of questions. The other thing I forgot to lift up is that, as we unfortunately have deaths in the congregation, a lot of memorial gifts go to Cross. And I know you and I had talked this summer. You said, we just got this one, we got this one, and so thank you to those of you
We are
who have
grateful.
done that.
Every dollar makes a difference, and again, whether it's $1 or $50 or $100 or $2,000, all of that adds up, and so we're genuinely thankful for that. I'll pass on behalf of those we serve. They are sincerely appreciative. Quotes we sometimes get, there's one that I think about that I like, yeah, that's good. And he showed up, and we actually were serving breakfast burritos in a food truck out there this summer, right? And so when you think about having no money and you show up at a food shelf and there's
breakfast.
A food stand out there that you can walk up for free and get a breakfast burrito. And he's like, where am I? Did I just hit the lottery? Is this Cross Services?
Yeah.
And so the power of being able to share impact is, extremely rewarding. And the generosity of this congregation is sincerely appreciated.
Well, and we really care. And even when you look at how many people are here on a Wednesday night. And I know we're going to start getting the questions, but with this Operation Metro Surge, both what you and I have been talking about is how people have not felt safe coming to Cross. And so trying to figure out how to respond to that. There was a period of time there, a better part of a month, where you maybe saw a third of the regular people that you were, because they just did not think it was safe for them to come and get groceries. And then all of us were trying to run groceries to schools and to other places. What's the status of that now? My sense is that it's shifting a little bit back to people are feeling safer.
Wonderful question, and thank you again, Advent Lutheran, for one of 6 churches that we identified and wanted to partner in what I'm going to call a pilot project for some mobile pop-up distributions, and it went over extremely well. If anybody wants to look afterwards, I've got pictures of how the food shelf set up in these local mobile parks and the lines of those that were waiting to come in. And so it started in that December and then really slipped in January and February. What was amazing and extremely humbling is people from churches, service clubs, the food started coming in more, right? And the donations came in more, and the people weren't there. And so that was how we reacted to that, was partnering up with Mobile Hope and a variety of churches to get some of the food out into the community. And so our numbers, on a typical day, on what I'll call our short days, and I could explain what a short day is, but less hours, we typically would run 80 to 90 families through our facility. On a bigger day, we'd run 120 to 150 families through. Yesterday was a long day for us. We had 136 families through. So if you take and multiply that by 3 people, that was our impact just yesterday. So 300 plus people were sold. So it is back, and we're making impact. One of the things we're seeing is new families, right? And so the world has changed again, even from the immigration pieces, just the world as a whole. Gas prices are going up, grocery prices are going up.
People weren't able to work, they couldn't make rent.
We're in a food crisis, and so the need for food continues to rise. And so one of the things that people are back in the facilities, and what we're continuing to evaluate, and one of our discussions actually coming up here is like, how do you distribute, if you've got the food, which I'm like, if you're hungry, you want to come to Cross Food because we've got great food, nutritious, and it looks wonderful. Our volunteers work hard to make us clean and attractive, where you may get some stigmas with that, but the environment's changing a little bit, and so they are back in, and so we want to continue to be forward thinking of where we headed in the future. How can we best impact the most people with efficiencies and make our dollars expand? And so some of those are our conversations we're actually going to have tomorrow.
We are, because the world has changed. I can see you running around. It looks like the questions are coming in. Ms. Sophie, do we have a lot?
We have a decent amount. Does anyone have a question that they have?
One thing while she's doing that, if she's collecting more questions, what would be like the one thing that you could really use from us? I know you always say, monetary donations are really appreciated because you've got to go buy that fresh stuff.
Yep. I think it's always a great question, and so I love the question. I want to spend maybe my time making maybe a different response to that first. And I think the most important thing for me is when I get out in the community and have the opportunity to speak is I want people to understand that what you're doing here is amazing and what Cross is doing is amazing. And so with that, we've got a good cause moving forward and we're making impact. But I can tell you there's somebody in the church tonight, there's somebody that lives on your block, there's somebody that goes to your kids or your grandkids' schools that are in need of food. And the best thing you can do is encourage them to come to Cross Services and gain that sense of hope. And so I want you guys to know is our best asset is giving back to those who are in need. And so the movement is happening related to that. And again, that's the hardest thing in the world. If you need to call Pastor Elizabeth, myself, put them in your car, encourage them to come out to meet a family advocate, because we've got the ability to at least get them food, and if things align, we've got that ability to give them financial assistance. We may have the ability to give a child a bed. We believe 1 in 20 kids in this area don't have their own bed to sleep in at night.
1 in 20?
1 in 20. Just recently, last Friday, we actually brought a bed out to a family, and it was a 2-year-old daughter sleeping in an unfinished basement that had a 2-inch mat. And so the need just continues to grow in a variety of different senses in that way. And so, yes, financial support is always needed. At the end of the day, if I can't pay the staff and we can't go rescue the food with the trucks, we will struggle to continue to serve. So financial is a need. There's a lot of different subjects, like if you're intrigued in mini capital projects, first aid kits to AEDs. There's a lot of needs that can continue to improve our quality, make us much safer and ready to serve in different ways. Volunteerism is always important. And so again, we're open 5 days a week, currently 260 volunteers. Bert actually and his wife are out there on a regular basis. They actually have partnered up and brought groups out from Avent. And so coming out just as one time, once a month impact of sorting food versus working the floor on a regular basis. The need kind of goes on and on. There's special projects you guys could actually do where you don't need to come on site, putting birthday bags together. Some people put, cakes together to tie in with a toy for a birthday. Hygiene kits are extremely important, cleaning supplies. And so, again, when you think about the cycle of poverty, food is a entry point. There's so many other things that wrap around that you need to, in order for them to be successful, you've got to just break it down one item at a time.
But here's the great thing about how you answered that question. Yes, you're asking for donations, but you're also asking us to help encourage people or identify people to go to Cross that need to go to Cross.
Yes.
Yeah, that was your first impulse.
It was.
God bless you. Okay.
Right. How do people find out about your food shelf or Cross services?
There's multiple ways, but the best way is the word of mouth. We are on lots of different social media. You can access, through our webpage, and so you can find us out on the internet. We have multiple articles that will, you'll see in local magazines. Tomorrow, CCX is out in our facility, the local cable TV station. So there's multiple ways, and it's always intriguing to me. It's like Cross has got the greatest brand in the world, and you walk down to the next street or move to the next town, they're like, we've never heard of Cross. And so part of the goal is for, now that you've heard it, make sure you're sharing the story.
It's an acronym, right? Cross stands for
Christians Reaching Out in Social Services.
There you go. And I do believe that Advent people were in on naming that the cross was really important.
That's where it originated. And so as I've looked at it over the 59 years, I think it has had multiple different names.
Oh,
but
really?
when you look into the bylaws, it's got Cross, C dot, R dot, O dot, and it's got doing business as Cross and doing business as Cross Services, but its original is Cross Services, or Cross Christians Reaching Out in Social Services.
Yeah.
Yep.
Where does your fresh food come from?
Fantastic question. So we have 2 full-time truck drivers that rescue food from 20 grocery stores every day. So 4 truckloads, 26-foot long truckloads come in from every grocery store you can think of, starting in Champlin, into Maple Grove, through Osseo, Dayton, Rogers, Corcoran, to the Quick Trips. Other distributors, ConAgra, which is just down the street here the other day, donated pallets of pudding. We'll purchase just about $250,000 of food on an annual basis. There's several churches that have community gardens that bring in fresh vegetables, mainly potatoes, tomatoes, strawberries, those types of things. So multiple different avenues.
What types of items do you need in your thrift shop?
Great questions. We have a small thrift shop, maybe about the size of the benches over there. It's one room, and ideally our big things are to serve the children. So children's clothes is extremely important. We do like some things for people to have that ability to interview, dress shoes, tennis shoes, those types of things. Things that can make an impact might be small kitchen appliances, dishes. We don't have that ability to do large lamps, couches, microwaves, those types of things. We just don't have the room to execute in that. And so I would say 90% of it is clothing to impact families of all different ages.
Yeah, that is a great question. And I think about it too, like if somebody, if you would want to wear it to a job interview and you could donate it, if it's in the kind of condition where you would think, yeah, I'd wear this to a job interview, that's the sort of thing you're looking
Somebody was, I see somebody in the crowd today that I think brought in 157 pounds of clothing to cross from right here tonight,
for.
sitting
Oh,
right out
one
here.
of our people.
So,
Oh, you guys are
So
great.
thank you.
What's your busiest time of the year?
Busiest time
Is
of the
there a
year.
busiest time?
Every day.
Yeah.
It doesn't change. I thought, and I'm a little bit newer to Cross. I've been in the nonprofit world for 30 years, but a little bit newer, and I thought you'd see cycles of that scenario. Our busier times in the year, so at Cross you can shop 2 times a month, one time for a full shop and one time for a secondary shop. And then if you're on house, you can come in on a weekly basis based on what your needs are. So people tend to shop earlier in the month because they're out of food and they can access other food shelves. But if you look at it by the month, every month is busy. And so we're in Minnesota Food Share Month right now, which really will set us up for food to sustain us in April, May, June, and July, and then we'll come back. And so there's no cycle to the months anymore, unfortunately.
And I think, unfortunately, we anticipate the need's going to grow.
The need is
Because our own
growing
grocery bills
as
are
we
going
speak.
up.
Yep.
And so everything we know tells us this is not going to get better anytime
Yeah.
soon.
So 9 million Minnesotans visited food shelves across the state this last year. 9 million. That was up 1.5 million from the year before, and it's the 4th consecutive year in a row that it's had growth.
How many
Not
people?
all of those were served at Cross.
How many people live in the state of Minnesota?
Well, 6 million, so that's a duplicate number. Does someone know that number right on it? It's just
Okay.
short of 6 million, I think.
Wow. Okay.
So that's a duplicate number, but that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Quick question. Does Cross send out donation statements for cash donations?
Cash donations, you get one at the end of the year, which is a change from over the years. You used to get them on a monthly basis, and most people weren't using them that way. You need to report your taxes at the end of the year. So at the end of the year, you should get a tax receipt.
Do you have numbers on how much food you get every day or every week?
You
Ask
ballpark
that question one more time.
How much food are you getting every day, every week? You want to ballpark it?
Yeah.
Last year, I know the total roll-up numbers, so we'd have to work the math back, but last year we collected like 2.1 million pounds of food.
2.1 million pounds.
Listen, tutoring today taught me I don't know math, so
Yeah.
I'm not going to try.
Oh,
All
that's
right.
our treasurer
Yeah.
back there. 5,000 pounds a day. Thank you.
I was going to make a guess at it, but I was going to say like 157,000 pounds a month. I don't know if that equates right or not, but it might be close.
She's doing the math back there.
I know
By
the
way,
number. I know the number because I just looked at it the other day. It's 2.1 in 2025.
We've got the box out there. It's on what we call, it's a real term, a gaylord, which is
Yes.
the term, the cart that moves it around. I want to fill that thing every week. We're halfway through the month. Let's get it full. Let's get it to you. Let's fill it again.
It's
Let's
March
see if-
Madness.
Yeah,
It's time.
come on.
Yes.
Let's fill it up. Okay.
All right, we are at 7:43. So last question. What do you like the best about your job and what motivates you to keep working there?
I love the people, and so whether the people is the employees, the volunteers, the clients, like working isn't that fun, but getting out and interacting and meeting and showing, coaching, teaching, being challenged. It's just fun. So there's a lot of great pieces. Doing this, everything is, like I thrive on like doing work, so it's great.
It is
Yeah.
great. And we've had our confirmation kids do volunteering up at Cross, right?
Yeah,
How
confirmation
many of you
kids.
guys
Raise
have
your hand
volunteered
if
at
you've
Cross?
been to
Any of you
Cross.
guys been up to Cross? Yeah?
I think you guys
Raise
were out
them
there
higher.
last night, I think, right? Yep. you
We
were
had
out
some
there
up last night?
Yep.
Okay, all
Yep.
right. Thank you so much. Continued partnership until every refrigerator is full, and we're going to be there for you.
Pastor Elizabeth and the entire congregation here at Advent, thank you on behalf of everybody that works there, our volunteers and those that we serve. The need continues to grow. We're excited to continue to partner with us. Do not ever hesitate to not call me. If you've never been out there and want a tour, I'll give you a personal tour. It's inspiring, but it's also very humbling.
Yeah. Would you mind if I prayed
Please
for you in the
do.
ministry? Let's pray. Good and gracious God, I thank you for Chad's heart for this ministry and for the way he sees every person that comes into Cross as someone created in your image. I thank you for the dignity that he treats each person with and his passion for this ministry. I pray that you would strengthen him and his wife and his family. You would strengthen all of the people there working and volunteering at Cross, and that we would work together to live in a world where everyone is treated with dignity and respect. Everyone has a safe place to call home. Every refrigerator is full. Just continue to inspire this congregation to be generous and to pray for Cross. And it's in your name we pray, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Very much. Yeah.